Hello, my friend. Today I'm going to tell you what is list. Let's imagine you are a teacher and you have got on your desk a notebook. Inside this notebook, you have got names of the students that you are teaching. And these names is called lists of students, right? List of students. So what is a list? A list is some kind of grouped elements next to each other, right? So in programming language, it's really the same. It's a container that can contain some elements, like for example, strings, numbers, and so on. So how do we create a list inside Python? In order to do it, we type the name of list, for example, names, and then we type the equal sign, and then we type the square brackets, like that one, okay? And inside these square brackets, you put elements. Well, we named our list names, so I think that it would be best if we put here names, like for example, my name, or any other, like John, Claire, Peter, Jacob. And as you can see, in order to separate each element, we need to use the comma sign, right? The cool thing about the list like that is that you have got inside one single name many elements. Before, if I didn't know what is list, I would need to create for each name a variable like that, for example, right? And well, this is only 5 names, but well, what if you had a big database? That would take lots of time, it would not be productive. So list is very cool because you can group elements inside one thing, which is called list, right? And what's more, in the future, you will get the values like that from database, from the files, and you can gather them all at once inside one list, right? It will be easy to do it using the list. That's why we need lists. That's why they are so cool. Okay, the next thing that we will learn is how to change values of elements inside a list. Well, maybe names are not the things that change, so maybe it's a good idea to create another list and let's hold inside of it values like, for example, numbers. So inside list you can store any type you want, right? The fun fact is that you can even, store also strings inside the list, and when you have got also their numbers, but I do not recommend doing something like that. Well, store one type inside one list because they were clearly created for such case. So when you run the module, it goes without any problem, and now we can change one of the number. Let's, for example, say we want to change that one here. So we want to change 1, 2, 3, 4th element, right? We have got 5 elements here. So how do we access this element? Well, the first thing you need to know is that the first element is on the position 0. The second element is on the position 1. The third element is on position 2. The fourth element is on position 3. And the last element, in our case, on position 4. So here, it's the same, right? 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So notice that 5 elements, when there are 5 elements inside a list, the last element is on 4th position, on 4th index. This is called an index, okay? Here's also 5 elements. Well, maybe let's create a 6th element so it differs a bit. So the last element, which is the sixth element, is on the index 5 position. In order to access now any of that guy, you need to use the square brackets here, and you put the index that you want to access. So if you want to access, let's say, the 20 here, you put here 5. And then you can change the value to, for example, 30. And now, when we print that value, like that, you will notice that we will get 30, not 20. If we remove that line here, as you can see, it is 20, but when we do something like that, it is 30. So now we know how to change values, how to print values, right? It's also good to know that if you want to get the last element, you can get it by using the -1, like that. As you can see, it gets us the last element, always. And when we do something like that, we'll get the Jacob. So you do not need to count how many numbers are there. And the Peter will be -2, -3, -4, -5, right? You can count from the backwards. The cool thing about list is also that you can print all elements at once, like for example that way. However, they will be always formatted like that. So you have got that square bracket and then a single quote sign, the apostrophe, the value of element, the apostrophe. So this is how it looks like for string, and this is how it looks like for the number, right? We do not need to use the apostrophe, the single quote on numbers, so we don't see them here. If you want to print the values different way, you can achieve it with many ways, but one of it is to use the loop. Yes, we can use loop for it. Like for example, loop for. So for each name that is inside names, I want to print name. Now when I run the module, of course the column here, sorry, we have got names printed without any problems. The cool thing about, the loop for is that you can do something like break some when you reach the third element, or you can continue, so you can remove one of the elements if they are equal to something. You can do weird things here, right? You can also do whatever you want. Like you can do something like that too, right? And they will start with the square brackets. You can format them whatever you want. So the loop for is very useful for printing out lists. Well, the truth is that the range for that we were talking about is really returning the list here, right? I told you that it returns something like 0, 1, 2, 3, right? And it was going through each of that element. So now we just go through elements that we specified manually, right? In future, we'll learn many useful tricks, like for example, how to sort all of these elements at once, how to append a new element, how to remove elements from lists, how to get the length of lists, and many other things like that. So as you can see, list has got also lots of useful features. So to sum up, what is a list? List is a container of elements that are put after each other, and you can access, change any of these elements. They are grouped, right? This is an important thing. They are grouped, they are categorized, and because of it, your code is cleaner. You do not need to create for each new value a new variable. It will take just too much time. That's all in the lesson. Thank you very much.